Yo, what's up? This your boy Derek Branch here, strike7sports.com. And this is another episode of Strike 7 Sport Podcast. And we're gonna go right into it, right into the topics of tonight. The first thing we're gonna talk about tonight is the Monday night football game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. Commanders gave the Eagles their first loss of the 2022 regular season by a score of 32-21. Now, I know the game ended on a interesting call by the officials. I thought it was a bad call in my opinion, just based on players making plays like that, rushing the quarterback like that, strictly off for adrenaline. Which I mean, what did you want Brandon Graham to do? Just to like automatically just freeze up and stop? Or that adrenaline? They called it a late hit on the quarterback. Pretty much extended the drive, and Philly. I mean, they kicked it back to Philly, but it was pretty much the clock was almost they ran the clock out for the most part after that call. But anyways, somebody just want to point out in regards to how this game went with the Commanders and the Eagles, and another game between the Eagles and another team that relies heavily on running the football. So the Eagles, not the Eagles, the Commanders, he ran for a total of 152 yards against this Eagles defense that's pretty talented, um, pretty talented group. And the Houston Texans the week prior on the Thursday night game, Damon Pierce, he ran the rookie from out of Florida ran for 139 yards on 27 carries against and this Eagles defense. And if you look at it, you paid attention to the games, the way the Florida games went. The command, the Eagles, not the Eagles, the Texans were pretty competitive in that game until Philly just was just too much for them to handle, and Eagles eventually pulled out with the victory. But the Commanders, this division opponent, um, they pretty much follow that same formula with the uh, the Texans used to, I would say, you know, be effective against the Eagles defense, and that's you play bully ball against them, run the football, control the clock, keep Jalen Hurts on the sideline watching instead of in actual in the on the field making plays, and it worked. It worked against the Eagles. Commanders got the victory, but a big thing, a big difference from the Texans and the Commanders is that the Commanders were able to force Hurts to turn the football over. The Commanders have a better defense than the Houston Texans right now. Got one of the best, I think, when healthy. I think the Commanders have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, coached by Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera, that's pretty much his area of expertise. Developing great defenses, great defensive ends, defensive fronts, and he did a really good job of defending Jalen Hurts through the air. He had one. Let me see. He had one interception, two touchdowns, 175. Ran for 20. He only had 28 yards in this game. Rushed for only 28 yards. His longest was a 12-yard run. But they pretty much shut down that Eagles running attack. And the difference between what the Eagles did and what I keep saying the Eagles, what the Commanders did and the Texans couldn't do is that they had a better defense. They're able to contain Hurts, keep him in the pocket, not allow him to run around, not allow him to be a factor in the game. They contained Miles Sanders. He only had 54 yards. Longest run was an 8-yarder, 12 carries. They pretty much did a good job against this Eagles offense. Now, I think, the Eagles are going to still win this division. I still think they can win this division. but their schedule, is an interesting schedule down the stretch because the next four games, the next four games that they play, they got let's see, you got the Indianapolis Colts, the Green Bay Packers, and the Tennessee Titans, and the New York Giants. Those are the next four games. So, with that being said, all four of those teams have something in common. All of them can run the football pretty effectively, have a running back that can control the time of possession, make big plays. Each and every one of them, they can play bully ball, especially the Tennessee Titans. New York Giants, they got Saquon Barkley, who's having one of his best years as a running back at the professional level. He's currently leading the league in rushing. Green Bay has Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. I think AJ Dillon's back. I knew he was injured. And Jonathan Taylor is back into the fold with the Indianapolis Colts. He had a big day against the Las Vegas Raiders where he ran for over 142 yards. So those are something to look out for, and it could be another upset, another win by one of these teams. If the Eagles don't get any these issues figured out. Now I know, based on what I'm seeing with the teams, that the rookie, the run stopper, Jordan Davis is out, currently out in the lineup with an injury, and that's playing a part in how they defend the run. And teams have been taking advantage of it right now. Houston had over 100 yards rushing against them. The Commanders had over 100 yards against them, and I'm pretty sure that Indianapolis is going to follow that same game plan. With Don that have Jeff Saturday as the head coach. We got Jonathan Taylor, coming off a big game, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna follow that game plan. And I expect that to continue, during this next stretch until they get things figured out. Now they just signed today. They signed two-time Pro Bowler, um, defensive tackle Linval Joseph. We used to play with the Giants. Second round pick, play with the Chargers and the Vikings. So 1 year deal. So that's gonna. I mean, it's 34 years old. We'll see what everything plays out, but that's a guy that can use that could come in and help out that run support. So we'll see how everything play out. But I still think the Eagles can win this division and possibly get a home field advantage. That game against the New York Giants is going to tell us a lot about both teams because the Giants are right on the heels right now since the Eagles lost in second place. Cowboys took a step back because they lost against Green Bay, and it's going to be interesting. That could be for the division. I won't be surprised if it could be for the division lead. I'm sorry. I won't be surprised if that game is flexed to a 3:35, 3:45 kickoff, or flexed to later that night. Because right now it's scheduled to be a 12 o'clock kickoff. So we'll see. All right, so we're going to segue along to the Green Bay Packers and what they've been able to what they accomplished this week against this past week against the Dallas Cowboys. They won in overtime, 31-28. Mike McCarthy decided it was his return to Green Bay, I believe, for the first time since being let go in 2018. He returned there for the first time since that happened. Decided to go for it in overtime. Didn't happen. Packers got a turnover on down. Aaron Rodgers got the ball back, drove the team down, got him in field goal range. Mason Crosby kicked the field goal. Green Bay wins the game. Now, Green Bay goes to 4-6 because of that. And takeaways from this game is that Green Bay, I'm not overreacting or not, it's not high properly or anything like that, but they may have found their guy in their WR1 and Christian Watson. He had only 4 catches, 107 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Finally came through, finally got some production out of the wide receiver position. Sammy Watkins, even though he had 3 catches, he had 47 yards receiving. He played, he did his thing in that game. Contribute. Running game did pretty well. Aaron Jones had 138 yards or 24 carries, one touchdown. So if those elements are working, Green Bay could be a factor down the stretch. Now, according to the playoff race that I got pulled up on my screen, is that Green Bay is currently the ninth seed, and in front of them is the Washington Commanders for the eight seed. But we all know that it's seven teams that are allowed to get into the playoffs, not eight. And right now, the Packers on the outside looking in. They got Titans tomorrow at home at Lambeau Field. Should be an interesting ball game. Finally, we get a game on a good game on Thursday night football. At prime time, the prime time slate for this season hasn't been really good. It hasn't been good at all, in my opinion. We had a good game this past Monday with the Eagles and the Commanders, but overall, other than that, man, it's just not been a good slate of primetime matchups, regardless if it's been Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football. It just hasn't been really good, a good slate. But tomorrow should be a good game. I expect, I think Green Bay can win that game. It's at Tennessee, and you know, Packers gonna go on a run right here. They got the Titans at home. Then you play Philadelphia. That's a big game, a really crucial game. You got the Bears, then you got the Rams, and then Miami. And if you can go at least, I would say, you 4-6 right now. You win tomorrow, you 5-6. At least 3-1, 4-1. These next 5 games, you go 4-1. The next 5 games, I'll give you a shot. It should give you a shot into the playoffs and go into the playoffs. It should, but we'll see how everything plays out. But if there's any team that can go on a run right now and win on the road, is the Green Bay Packers. If we see what we saw um last week against the if we see what we saw last week against the Dallas Cowboys, and if Aaron Rodgers can get that type of production out of the wide receiver position from Christian Watson, Christian Watkins, and the running attack can get going, can continue to play like it has been, Green Bay could go on a run, you know. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see. You hear me?
I'm here for sure.
You hear me? All right, we're joined by my co-host, Leo Seabury. He's a little late, but he's finally came through for the pod. And I was just talking about how if a playoff run is in the work for the Green Bay Packers. After watching that the game between them and the Cowboys, Christian Watson Watkins, the wide receiver that he drafted in the second round, finally got together. Had 4 catches, 107 yards, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, the running back, he had over 138 yards rushing. I just asked the question, if Green Bay could go on a playoff run after that type of game. What do you think?
I think it's possible. I think they have the talent and the tools to make a run. They needed their win, and I think it was one of those. But I think it was one of those games where they won out of necessity. Like they had to have this win. Like you couldn't lose another game in a row, and they found a way to do it, unlike in these other games. And I do think they had the talent to make the playoffs. Maybe not as in past years, but their defense is still legit. We saw what it did on Sunday. It really Dak and they weren't that explosive offense that normally see from the Cowboys. You gotta give Packers credit, but the question is, can this be sustained? And we shall see. It's gonna be that's gonna be the next question. Can they sustain this, or is this just a one game thing? But I think they
Yeah,
have the talent to make a run. And by the way, I was doing the just covered the Tigers women's game. That's why I'm a little late. late to the party. Apologize.
That's cool, man. No worries. That's fine. Just you doing your job, man. You gotta do what you gotta do. That's cool. So tomorrow, can you think what are you expecting out of the game tomorrow between Green Bay and the Titans? Can you think that's a game where they can win? Is at home?
I think it's a win they can win, but they're gonna have to. The key, which is the key to stopping the Titans every game, is can they contain Derrick Henry? It's really not can you stop him. It's about what you can hold him to, because
Yeah,
he knows he's gonna get his. He's gonna get. He's just that good. He's gonna get his yards. And also the question is, make it to where he gets irrelevant yards. Like if he has 100 yards, but they're not operating well in the passing game, because we know obviously with their team, the run sets up the pass with that team.
yeah,
Everything they do is designed around the run. So if they can make it to where he's getting meaningless yards, and let's say he has 100, he may have 110 yards, but if it's not, you know, leading conducive to them winning, then I mean, they just have to limit him to really just getting pointless yards. Because like we just said, he's not getting
yeah,
stopped. It's just a matter of can you try to contain him?
yeah. And that's just that defense, man. It's just that's a really good defense they're playing against tomorrow. So if they can get that win tomorrow, man, is if you get that win tomorrow against the Titans, man, it puts them at 5-6, and it won't get any easier after that because they play Philadelphia, and if they can if they can follow that strategy that you hear me,
I'm here.
you hear me, yeah, if they can follow that strategy that the Commanders and the Texans use to play that bully ball type of style, they may have a chance against Philly. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think they can go on a run. Right now, they're the ninth seed. They're in ninth place and right in front of the behind the Commanders. Commanders are at 8. 49ers are at 7. So it's gonna be a battle for that spot. And I think the 49ers might take the NFC West, but we gotta see. We'll see how far that Seattle drops. Because if they drop, but they don't drop to where they can, fall out the race, the playoff race. I think Seattle might take the seventh spot. So we'll see. All right, so we're gonna switch it up. Talk some college football, and more in particular with the college football rankings. Right now, you got I believe you got number one team is Georgia, and number two is Ohio State. Number three is Michigan, and number four is TCU. Now, all four teams in the CLP rankings right now is undefeated. But TCU out of the Big 12, coached by Sonny Dykes, undefeated right now, 10-0. They play against they go on the road this Saturday against Baylor, a Baylor team that has clearly taken a step back because I thought Baylor would have been one of those teams that possibly, possibly could have made a run this year to a CFP berg, but so far it's been TCU. So, with that being said, do you think that all they have to do is beat Baylor? I believe they play Iowa State next, if I'm not mistaken, and then after that, they're locked to go in the Big 12 championship. So, do you think that TCU is a lock to get into the CFP this season?
No, I don't think they're a lock.
For real?
I think they should be, but the committee, there's two issues. Their conference is not great, and I saw that whoever they play in the conference championship is guaranteed to have at least 3 losses. First of all,
Yeah.
which is not good. Just the conference, but that's not their fault. You can't blame them for taking care of their business. They've beaten everybody
Right.
so far. But 2 problems: weakness of conference, and the SEC. Historically, the committee has had a thing for the SEC.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 things, because I think if if there's let's say Georgia gets to the ACC championship and they beat LSU. Well, if they beat LSU, then Georgia's obviously in, and then I think they if Tennessee doesn't lose the rest of the way, I think there's a
Yeah.
way they can finish at 4
You think so
because they
over TCU?
yes,
Even
and they
TCU,
play they
even if they're undefeated and win the conference.
correct. It's
Mm.
possible. It wouldn't be unheard of. It would
No, I
not be
wouldn't.
unheard of. And this is what because Tennessee, but Tennessee's a good argument though. They're a good argument. They're a good argument for sure. But
Man, but this Baylor game, man, I don't know, man. Baylor got 4 losses on the season, man, but it's tricky, you know. And we've seen so far, we thought Oregon was going to be a team that could get into the playoffs. We thought UCLA was going to be a team that could possibly get in, but they got L's. UCLA took a L against
yeah,
Arizona, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
Um, Oregon lost against UW unexpectedly, so it can happen. But man, you got a valid point though, man. You know, because what about Michigan? What about Michigan, Ohio State?
Michigan's best. I was listening to Joel Klatt. He was talking about this. Joel Klatt. He was talking about how outside of Penn State, what's Michigan's best win if they lose to Ohio State?
What's Ohio State's best win? Penn
Probably
State. Penn State.
probably probably Notre Dame or Penn
Notre
State.
Dame.
Hmm.
Yeah, Notre Dame's playing pretty good right now.
Yeah,
But they're gonna sell it in like what next week?
yeah. They'll settle it. They'll settle it next week. That's too bad that they play in the same division because they really should be the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, it does. But I think, man, I would like to see TCU in the playoffs, so man. You
I
know,
like to see it.
yeah. But Sonny
Yeah.
Dykes, he came from the Americans, bounced, took that TCU job, and I think TCU and SU like in the Dallas area. They're in the same area, so he just went
Yep.
down the street.
Pretty much
So, yeah,
for a few extra dollars.
yeah, I ain't mad at him. But
Yeah.
TCU has been there before though, under the
Mm,
previous head coach, and they got screwed
yeah.
over. When the CFP first came out, they got screwed over. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I
so
think it. Yep.
yeah, so we'll see how it play out, man. All right, man, we can close it out on this. So we got the news on what Tuesday, I believe, in Memphis that professional football is making another comeback in the city. This time it's a familiar face. A lot of old timers know about. The USFL is down in Memphis. It will be one of the hubs for the league, along with Birmingham, Alabama. And the Memphis Showboats will be making their debut. And once the league kicks off again in the spring of 2023, they got a new logo. A lot of people have, expressed their distaste for this new logo. I ain't got no issue with it, but it is what it is. But I want to ask you, Leo, how is this going to work out the second go round? Even given that the previous league wasn't a success in Memphis as well, how you think it's going to turn out?
Uh, See, I went to, and I'm saying this from somebody who went to the games. Like I went to an AAF game with my friend. I
Yeah,
went to that first win. It wasn't like okay. How they're gonna have to work is this is gonna have to find some way to appease everybody because and get butts and seats because when we were going to the games, like it was like 15,000 people there
yeah,
at these games, and I'm like, how in the world are you going to get more people because you can't sustain this business? And I saw that from a Memphis standpoint, and that's just in Memphis. That's not even looking at all the other teams that were in the AAF. And
yeah.
basically, my assertion of it is this: I think that while it's a great idea to have football back here, they're gonna have to try to get players who are gonna like appeal, like NFL cast-offs that have a name. Like Brian, even Brian was saying Johnny Manziel. Even though I don't
Who
think
was
I
there?
think he's done. I think he's done with pro football.
Yeah, but
But
Brady White's going to be the QB.
he is.
Well, one of the QBs.
Okay, that would be that's a name. He's a name. People know him. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, you'd have to get Memphis guys, like get guys that probably came. A lot of the guys probably would have to be guys that came from U of M, former U of M guys, or played in the Tennessee area.
yeah,
That would be really, name attraction, name appeal. That's gonna get fans to see. At least people who know who the players are. Because like aside from Johnny Manziel, can we remember too many other players that came from that other USF team? That I mean not USF team, AAF team.
Zach.
It's not really.
His name is Zach Stacy.
Oh yeah, yeah, from Vanderbilt. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, remember him. Yeah, other than that, man, Zach Meckenberger, man, from LSU, but he didn't work it out, man. He got Manziel beat him out.
Yeah. Oh,
So, nah, I mean,
what do you
it
think?
could work out, man. It just like out here, you starting you kicking off in the spring, right? Right when like playoff basketball is about to kick off. You know what I'm saying? Where the
Yeah.
Grizzlies, pretty much with John Moran, they pretty much shutting down everything. Everybody's interested in the Grizzlies now, pretty much. So it's gonna take some time, man. Like if they get the marketing right with it, it could work, you know. But if it don't, man, it could be much of the same, especially if you're not winning. Because the issue with the Express of the AAF, they weren't winning, man. They weren't winning a lot of games, man. They were losing a lot of close games, and if you're not a winner, man, like a lot of casual fans will lose interest. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
So
Another
if they
thing
don't,
too.
go ahead,
Go ahead. My
go
bad. I'm
ahead,
sorry.
go ahead,
But
bro.
another thing that works for an advantage of Memphis, I mean, aside from the Redbirds, they don't have we don't have like a professionals. We don't really have a. I mean, of course we have the basketball team, but they could still get support though because we don't have like a baseball spring team. Like we're not. It's not like you're in St. Louis or you're in Kansas City or you're in
Yeah,
you're in one of those places with a major league baseball team. So I think it really could work. I think the showboats it could work, but like I said, I'm really interested in seeing how they marketing and who the players are. That's what's going to have to be a really big thing. Can they really market? And I think they have the right people, especially with what's his name, Daryl Johnston behind it.
yeah,
They have the right
yeah,
people in charge, and I think this is the XFL. It's USFL. I'm sorry,
yeah.
USFL.
USFL.
They've been in so many leagues, Mike. Excuse me, but USFL is definitely sustainable now. But it's just especially with how they're doing it. But another question is, are they going to even play home games? Because last year I watched the USFL. They didn't play any home games. All the
Yeah,
games were played in one place.
yeah. It's gonna be Memphis is one of the hubs. They got
Oh,
Birmingham and
okay.
Memphis, so they have a few games. That even if it's not Memphis playing, they got some games played out there at the Liberty Bowl.
Oh, definitely. That'll bring in extra money and revenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that'll
Yeah.
be interesting, man. I mean, we'll see how it play out, man. Oh, and before we go, man, I need to ask you this. I was talking about this in the opening topic about a blueprint being figured out on the Eagles because in the Texans game, Damon Pierce ran for 130 yards on them, and the Commanders, while they didn't have a 100-yard rusher, their rushing attack, their rushing game had over a combined total of 150 yards against them and beat them. But I said the difference was that the Commanders have a better defense that can slow them down. So, do you think that a blueprint has been put out on how to beat the Eagles?
No, I wouldn't say it's a blueprint. I would just say Washington just played really well because also you have to keep in mind the Eagles had 3 turnovers too. Um, they had they had 3 turnovers in their game on Monday night. They had 3 turnovers combined the whole season coming into the
Yeah.
game. So a
Right.
lot of it was the Eagles beating themselves. But you also have to give the Commanders credit for, like you said, sticking to the game plan and producing their formula. But that formula won't work with every team. For example, I don't think the Colts is going to work this week against with the Colts if they try to use it because I don't think they have the talent that the Commanders have on their defense, especially with all the injuries they've had. But overall, I'd say that I'd tell you no, it's not really a formula. It's just that I feel like Washington kept caught Philly on a bad day.
Yeah. Then I think missing Jordan Davis, not having Jordan Davis has been is huge, man. So we'll see how it play out, man. All right, that's all we have for y'all for right now, man. Give us a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let us know how you feel. Listen to this through Apple or Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating. Leave a review. That's all we have for y'all for right now. Have a blessed night. Peace. We out.